presented your list of candidates, your comments?
Well, definitely. I think we have presented a list of 19 candidates. I am very much proud of the candidates that have chosen to run with the USP party this time around. I'm more than excited with the young professionals that we have on board. The public of St. Martin is going to be very much, how would I say, really much appreciate the list that USP has presented. Over the years, we have seen a number of candidates who have ran but never live up to the responsibility to be serious and to want to represent this country in the right way.
The list of candidates, your comments?
We are very hopeful that the PPA will be successful at the polls on February the 26th. We want to remind the people of St. Martin why we have these elections. We have these elections because the people were not represented the way they promised 2 years ago, actually a year ago. The people are hurting. We have over 6,000 people and counting who are jobless, who don't have hope, who don't have trust in the body politics anymore. And the PPA want to restore that trust, restore dignity in this building, this Parliament building, this House of the People, and ensure to the people that we will be working for them.
First and second of the UD party, you just postulated your list of candidates.
It is a proud moment. It is even an emotional moment because when we recognize how often we spoke about the coming together, how often we spoke about uniting. And I think there was not a better time to fulfill that promise than following Hurricane Irma, when we realized the work that needs to be done. As for the election itself, we have mixed feelings. Mixed feelings because we would have liked to be able to spend the coming weeks, days and nights, working for St. Martin.
How difficult was it for you as the leader of the UP to form this composition with UP?
Well, this has been, as Sarah said, some major discussions have gone on between both parties, from party boards meeting together, from the leaders of the parties meeting together, from the candidates of the parties meeting together. But there's one common goal, one common purpose, and that is the people of St. Martin. And while all parties and all the boards and everyone itself understands that the love of St. Martin is the foremost thing on all of our minds. So any differences that we would have had, which were, I think, also minuscule compared to the country itself, I think those were put aside, and we all came together and said, listen, it's not about whether it's UP, it's not about the DP, it is about the people of St. Martin. And that's how we came up with the United Democrats.
You presented your list of candidates, your comments?
Well, first I'm going to say, again, a prosperous new year to everyone. Unfortunately, we were given the opportunity once again to come and try to represent the people. And indeed, the fat lady is not singing. I think she's crying about now. Crying that, we're standing here. I always wanted to be inside of the Parliament building to give a speech like I did not too long ago. But I never thought it was being because of another election being called and being held within the 2-year mark. Snap election is no longer the case. This is a norm election. And for once and for all, political maturity does not come with political seniority.
Give us some insight into your list of candidates.
Well, our list remained practically the same. We added a few more candidates, and our message will be the same. Focus will be the same. The principles that we ran on last time of honesty, integrity, accountability, those are the ones that we will again be advocating. And of course there's a change, a shift in focus too because of Irma. You know, now we have to look a lot at the reconstruction and building back St. Martin.
What's some going today for Postulation Day? Your comments?
Yes, it is a special moment. It's of course my first postulation as leader. It will be a very important election, a very serious election, and especially during these difficult times, I mean, I would really like to appeal to all parties to remember the times we are in. The important thing is to get our messages out there to the public. We as a National Alliance are ready to spread our word, to get it out to all
avenues and to ensure the people that we will continue the hard work that we have been doing over the past 2 years.
This time is one that we didn't expect, we didn't ask for, but we are confronted with it. This election that I'm talking about, and I think that if we understand really what happened on December 6th, 2017 on St. Martin, then any government that has to sit, and the government that just got the vote of non-confidence, have to realize that this is about the people. This is about the country, its development, and its development for the people. Now, you're going to hear a lot of rhetoric coming during this campaign time, because that is what politicians do. But in the end, if we don't have a clear-cut mandate, a clear-cut objective, and a clear-cut priority list to push this country forward, then we're going to fall right back into this dismay that the country is experiencing right now under the leadership of the National Alliance and the USP party.
Coming together of the both parties in particular was exactly that. We did not like how things were going with reconstruction efforts of St. Martin after the passing of Hurricane Irma. People were devastated in what was one of the largest natural disasters to hit the Caribbean in our time. As such, we felt that the preparation for the hurricane was one that was not up to par, and we felt that the days after the hurricane, the reaction by the government, the William Allen government, of course, was one that also was not up to par. So as such, we decided to form a government to come together. Ultimately, it shows, because even on the backs of people losing their roofs, and people having the possibility of losing their jobs, and now those have lost their jobs because we are a tourist island, still to have the candidate, the Prime Minister, call for election and have the election done in such a way, a snap election. But here we are.
Our slate, of course, presents 23 candidates who are ready to serve, ready to look at the reconstruction issues that have to be addressed on St. Martin. If we look at what has transpired after Irma and the delay in getting St. Martin back on track economy-wise, and the recovery of homes, that persons are still without a roof, still without utilities at home, these are the issues that the UD will be championing in this 2018 parliamentary election.
What would be the platform that you'll be campaigning on, since now that your party has been going to be running on the list?
Well, we all know the devastation that Hurricane Irma has left behind on our people in our country, meaning infrastructural-wise as well. And our people are our best assets. They have been neglected now 4 months after the hurricane, and the PPA is taking care of the most vulnerable in first instance of our society. These persons are persons who have been displaced. These persons are persons who have lost their jobs. Over 6,000 persons living in St. Martin have lost their jobs. So our first responsibility is to ensure that there's a social net to help these people be able to take care of their family. 6,000 unemployed. We will make sure that we submit a project, a plan, based on the reconstruction funds that has been sent to St. Martin, and make sure that every person who has become unemployed after Irma receives at least $1,000 a month per person. And we are saying that we need to take care of these people. Within the next couple of months, it's going to be very hard on these families.
National Alliance moving forward is not just an election campaign party, it's a party of the people all through the year. You will see, after this election, continued activities from the National Alliance. The membership of the National Alliance is supposed to pay 10 guilders a month to belong to it. You know, like Lions have members and they pay a fee, Rotary, Rotaract, you pay a fee to belong. You pay a fee to contribute to the running of the party. We want to reach, my goal with this party is to reach to a point where we have enough paying members that we don't need to be asking for sponsors, that we could put on different events throughout the 4 years, because we will then have matured to the point, change the system to the point that this foolishness of changing government every year and a half too is stopped. And then we will be able to come the next 4 years be able to put on a campaign that is based on our grassroots, that can move out, that will spend not excessive amounts of money, because look now, after a hurricane, you're stuck with just radio, you're stuck with your humans on the ground, right? And we're not putting up big old billboards. So you have to get your message to the people some other way. You have to get your message to the people some other way. And the National Alliance has a strong base. We don't have fickle voters. We have voters that stick with us. And even those who vex, only now we're coming back because it's election. Once you explain, once you sit and you discuss, they're like, don't worry, we with you. And with every new voter, every voter that we had before, and all of those that have come back, seeing that spreading of the vote thing only creates more ship jumping, only creates more possibilities for coalition. They are seeing we are stronger together. Let's do this for the people of St. Martin. And I look forward to seeing the people support us. Yes, we know some people are still suffering. Yes, we know some people are still hurting or they're losing jobs. But the National Alliance government have put money on the budget for you that VSR should be able to give more people assistance, more people medical assistance, assist with the feeding. All school children will continue to receive food for the rest of the year if all goes well, the plans that we laid and are still laying go well. We started with 3 months. We as government put extra in the budget to be able to carry it, and seeing the actual logistics and how's carrying it out, it's quite expensive. Red Cross has agreed to extend it. So we get a little reprieve there on our budget again, whereas they are going to carry it for another 3 months, and then hopefully then the next 6 months, which will take us down to the end of 2018.
Another aspect that we have addressed in the manifesto is electoral reform. It is time that we deal with the ship jumping aspect, and this is something that the St. Martin Christian Party parliamentarians will be looking at and ensuring that something will be done, legislation will be put in place, or rules will be set to curb the ship jumping that has taken place and that has caused so much instability in government and even in our country. Another area of electoral reform that we'll be looking at is the synchronization of the dates related to snap elections and the dates related to the regular elections. These two sets of dates need to be synchronized so that we don't get the postponement and the rescheduling of elections once they have been called by the parliament.
Once in Parliament, I will call them to order, and no one is above the law. They will stand responsible for what they have done. We will end or minimize corruption. With regard to our senior citizens, it is unfortunate that you are being taxed on your income. It's unfortunate, it is unfair. It is unfair. USP has a realistic vision for that. We will look into ways for us to eliminate that taxation from your income that you have already probably paid when you made it the first time. And we will look into ways in which we can increase the amount that you don't have to depend on your children, that is, they themselves are struggling.
People of Colby, I'm telling you, get up, stand up for your rights tonight. Tonight, I want you to know that the USP party have 19 able candidates. They are young, energetic, and full of energy.
Elections are about choices. When you come to that fork in the road, you have a choice as well. Both lead forward. This election, though, choices must be made by you. The choice of whether to go forward or make a U-turn. You can choose to make that U-turn and go back the way things were. But we cannot keep repeating the same methods, expecting a different result. Ladies and gentlemen, this should not happen. If we, you, me, your family, your neighbors, everyone change their mindset that we can do this together and focus on getting the work done so St. Martin can thrive again. To achieve this, We, the politicians, must put our differences aside and recognize that a concrete effort by all is required. No man is a mountain, and that's why the United People's Party and the Democratic Party put their differences aside and decided to join as the United Democrats. Together as one, united we can. When two leaders put their differences aside and join, that is showing maturity. And that's why I am proud to be part of this team.
Running on the U.S. party, and I think this is the first time that you're going to be actually running. Usually you're always in the background. But you also come from a family that's been run also in the politics. You have your father that run for a couple of times. You have an aunt that also run, and I think maybe others that I can bring at this particular point. But now you yourself, who's youngest from the two persons that I just mentioned, jumping into the arena. What prompted you to do that?
First and foremost, I have been a department head within the Department of Economic Licenses in the Ministry of TIAT for the last roughly 5 years. And I have seen firsthand the effects of the lack of stability on the progress of this country. Policies that we've been trying to propose, legislation we've been trying to propose, continues to be boggled down in bureaucracy and the lack of stability. So for me, it was time to step up to the plate. I work along party lines. I work with different ministers from various parties, and it really doesn't matter to me once the job gets done. So I feel like with my political maturity and my vision and my willingness to get things done for the country, it was time. It was just time for me to step up to the plate and basically put my money where my mouth is, because I know what needs to get done to better the lives of the people, and I feel like I need to be there actually getting it done.
One thing I must bring forward to you about your party and yourself, that you have members that actually move away from your party, and it happened twice. You have one now that is a minister, you have one that for all the government. How are you going to regulate that in your party that don't happen to you again?
Well, it's an ongoing discussion that we would have with the young to-be politicians, and they see exactly what happened when that transpired, that we go to the polls. There are rules, there's regulations, and people put trust in you when they vote for you, not to be breaking government and ship jumping. When people vote for you, people put their trust in you to make sure that at least give them 4 years stability in the country. My job as a leader of this political party is just to continue to educate, continue to talk, and continue to provide all the necessary tools for any young person who get elected in Parliament. And I think it's unfortunate that others influence them. Others from older political parties who seeking more power use these young individuals in order for them to break government. And every time the government fell with those two individuals is because of the Democratic Party was part of it, or people from the Democratic Party was part of the break of the government at all times.
As we look around, we can look at the damages that have taken place with Hurricane Irma, and we can categorize it in 3 types of damages. Those homes that have minimal damage, where only the zinc came off. Those homes that have more partial damage, where the zinc came off, the rafters came off, and part of the ring beam and the structure is damaged. And those structures that are totally gone, like these. And what I would like to indicate is that we need to try our best and help all the people, while we understand that helping people with minimal damage costs less than those who we have to help with partial damage or those with total damage. However, the 550 million euros that came from Holland to help the people of St. Martin. And we must try our best and help as much as possible. You can imagine that those persons who have totally lost their homes need to be rebuilt. Either we are going to build new homes or we're going to rebuild their homes. But we must try our best to help all the people and as much as them as quick as possible.
The UD party came together for one purpose and one purpose alone. We were confronted on September 6th with a situation in this country that was devastated. not only did the island suffer damages in terms of its population and the citizens, but the economy of the country was shred to pieces, was dismantled. And now what we have to do as a government, we have to build that back. We cannot have any kind of social development without an economy. And all of the hotels are gone, the airport is gone, the harbor is gone, and as every government that is responsible enough to realize that with those gone, those are the ones that you have to bring back. And at the same time, using the aid, because again, if you think back on what happened or what transpired over the last 4 months, we have gotten from our kingdom partners and the largest country in the kingdom, we have gotten an indication from them that they're going to help us, right? We know we have to fix our infrastructure, our economic infrastructure, and they said, guys, we will help you. And the government went and started a ground war with them, so to speak, you know, talking all kind of different things about, you know, they can keep the money and we don't need that money and all of that. And then last minute, the former prime minister is going to come back and say, you know something, we're going to do what you ask us to do so that we could get the money.
The fall of the government, and this is what people of St. Martin need to understand, has absolutely nothing to do, but mostly to do with greed. And one would say directly because of my person. Listen, you see this badge issue? We are only now scraping the surface of it, you know. The boatyard in Simpson Bay, belongs or operated by a gentleman by the name of Jeff Boyd. One of his partners in the business is a minister today in the new government representing the Democratic Party. We had coalition meetings where the good chairlady of Parliament, Sarah Westcott Williams, would come in and argue what is happening with the badge, why the badge is not being put to work, why the badge this and why the badge that. Today you're seeing the reasons why.
Now, if your party has been elected in the election that we're in now, what are the first thing that you would want to take care of?
The first thing we'll start to take care, of course, is the reconstruction. Start to make sure that we stimulate this economy, get a stimulus going that we can start to guarantee people slowly but surely will get back their jobs. But what has to be priority is putting the rules back on people's homes who have lost their homes and those who are not in a financial position to basically do that for themselves. One thing about St. Martin people, we are the kind of people that are very resilient. And we are the kind of people who don't necessarily ask for something to be done for them. We will do it ourselves. But in this situation right here that we find ourselves, it's a situation where the help that is needed, it is beyond what we can do. And that's why it was important not to try to get in a fight with the Dutch and not to get in a Mexican standoff with them where it pertained to that aid, because that aid could have helped the people of St. Martin. But instead, they chose to put their personal personalities forward as opposed to helping the people of St. Martin.
I want to talk a little bit about your performance in Parliament. You would be very strict on a lot of things. You hit them to the point. You don't care who they think, but you just wanted to bring them. What was the most hurtful thing for you in the government falling, and especially when some of those topics that you touch in the Parliament, out? The Dutch, what they are actually doing to the government that what you was in.
Mm-hmm.
Give your views on that.
Well, definitely. I think I was very forceful in the way the coalition was dealing with the coalition. I think it was very sad that the leader of the Democratic Party, now the leader of the UD, is the one who caused the breakup of the government. Someone who has all the experience that they have to put this country in such a position at the time that the people needed everyone on deck. They choose for self and self alone. Nothing to do with the country, why they break the government. I was very forceful on the way the issue of the aid was talked about, because it had conditions to the aid. Conditions such as an integrity chamber, conditions such as border control. Those are things that absolutely no country in the world who is in need of help should be put to conditions such as those. When people are in need of help, to see your brothers and sisters, partners within a kingdom, choose to use aid and integrity chamber, border control on the people, and then the magic aid continues to accept it, and today we still don't see the aid. Exactly what we fought about and talked about on the floor of Parliament. And then the issue of who got aid from who didn't get aid. That was the responsibility of the DP minister at that time, Emily, who's now part of the UD party. That is one of the things that I keep telling the people. You are the one responsible for the aid. Why haven't the people of this country received aid? If there was anyone to blame concerning how aid was distributed, who didn't get, was the Minister of Health and Labor at that time. He chose to allow the civil servant, without no guidance, without no supervision, by him person, to continue to work tremendously, but he left it for them to do it alone. Absolutely not. That should never be the case.
What are some of the things, as a member of Parliament, that if you've been elected, what are some of the things you'd like to work on as soon as you get into office?
Well, you said being elected. We are going to be in government. That's definite. National Alliance will win this election. I am not counting on ourselves, or we're counting on the people of St. Martin, because that is where the power lies. God, there's so many things. At heart, my passion has always been people. If the government can't take care of the people, then where are we? If the people are weak, where's the economy? You know, I've always been fighting for this short-term contract, and of course, people say, well, you on that again? If we don't get that regulated, the economy of St. Martin will not progress. I don't, look, you know, your head talks about St. Martin will be this and St. Martin will be that, but without the people being part of the development, part of the economy, it will not progress. So yes, it is my baby. I would say the 2011 draft that we presented, it is still being processed. You know, the minister came and chopped it up quite a bit and tried to make it his own, but we are going back to the drawing table and make sure that we come with one that will be for the people of St. Martin. As a matter of fact, what I'm trying to do right now, I'm still trying to get information from Aruba, because the fact is, Aruba don't have that kind of an ordinance in place. You get a trial period, and after that, you're permanent, or we let you go. I am not saying that there aren't jobs that are of a temporary nature, because we have those, so we cannot deviate from that. But it should not be that someone is working in a job of a permanent nature and still they are on contract.
I know that your party was a little bit against on having the election, but today now you have to go into the election no matter what. You all feel contented with that?
Of course, you know, the party and everyone at this time and in the time of St. Martin's bounce back from a hurricane. We should be looking at the recovery. We should be looking at recovering from a natural disasters that crippled our economy, crippled who we are as St. Martin people, and invoking a spirit of faith that allows us to grow again. That is what we need to focus on. And for the party, yes, indeed, we are now participating in an election that we are called to do so, and democracy must prevail. And we're encouraging the people of St. Martin, the public of St. Martin, to give us that mandate by the power of the ballot. The power of the ballot is a very important tool, and democracy is spoken by the power of the ballot. So with your support, your mandate, the UD can govern uninterrupted for the next 4 years of this governing term that will start.
You mentioned that you are in the background of some of the parties that you supported. And my question is to you, what exactly were you doing in the background of these parties that you supported?
Not in the background. That's not necessarily what I meant. I meant that as a department head, I had to work with various ministers, and the ministers were from, you know, different parties. We had a minister from NA, we had a minister from USP, we had a minister from Independence, independent members of parliament. So we have had I have had to work with now 7 ministers in the last 7 years, and I have never used my party affiliation, any particular party affiliation, to dictate my agenda when dealing with the people's business. So for me, it's clear sign of political maturity, and it's that type of political maturity that I can take to Parliament.
Another area that we'll be looking at in terms of electoral reform will be the way that the public endorses the lists after postulation. We realize now, and many people have voiced their concern, that the endorsement is not private, and this is something that needs to be done when the public is engaged in endorsing or even voting.
I stand here today dejected, saddened, and angry. People are suffering. No roof, no jobs, no hope, no nothing. And to top it all that, we are all forced with new elections. An election that was not necessary. An election that is against the wishes of people of St. Martin. Enough is enough. This charade of coalitions must stop. A full mandate is now necessary more than ever. We want you to vote and elect the UD party with a thumping victory, a full majority, and we want not 8 nor 9, but a full 10 seats.
When we submit that draft law and we're here in Parliament, we are busy working with the draft law to support that quest. It is possible. This is no joke. This is no campaign false promises. We can deliver on that because we deal with facts. And fact is, number one, there's over 6,000 families who have become jobless, who are hurting. And it is our responsibility to make sure that these people are taken care of. If they are okay, the island, the country is okay. Of course, parallel to that, you will have a job training program and a job placement program, because some people became unemployed a month after the hurricane, and some 2-3 months into the hurricane. So, of course, it will not be 6,000 people receiving $1,000 immediately. It will be in accordance with how these persons became displaced and unemployed on St. Martin. A third point, we have about five critical points, because it has to do with what St. Martin is going through right now. The third point, building permits, housing, social housing, mobile housing. People need a roof over their heads.
That I don't know if you're going to really answer it, but it's something that have to be explained, the situation with the National Alliance. You has been around quite a while. You was an Island Council member. You were also, I think, a state secretary, if I'm not mistaken, of health. I might probably be wrong with that. And you are now in Parliament. What seems to be the problem that the National Alliance cannot sit there as 4 years? There's always something that is not connecting. Sometimes you hear that there's lack of communications. Sometimes it's angerness. What can you share from me with that? You as a person who has been along with the party?
Well, you correctly said I've been there since 2003, and let me make this plain to the people of St. Martin. The reason why I chose to be with the National Alliance, because they are a country, a people that always work on behalf of the country. They look at social issues, and we know the history: housing, education, sports facilities. Those are the issues that they look at. Now, with regards to National Alliance not being in government for not long enough, I would say, the fact is, when the enemy, and yes, I consider them the enemy of the people, saw that the National Alliance was working, what they made sure to do is throw in the government. Because why? If I let them stay there too long, we can never get back in. You see? And that's the problem.
The motion of non-confidence, that same individual now is going to turn around on people that is hurting already and put an election on them. And then you are going to ask me that you love St. Martin. But again, this is the democracy that we have. This is the thing that we have to do. So we have to comply with our laws. The law is in. We have to go and take care of this election. we have to make sure that the people understand that the representation that they need will be there. That is why we put ourselves up. I am number 6 candidate on the UD list. That is why we put ourselves up to continue working and to continue to serve this community of St. Martin. And I'm telling you that it will not be an easy road, because of course they are very keen and very good at changing the narrative.
How can the Democratic Party be the one saying that this wasn't working, right? You're the ones that you're disgruntled. What's not working? The aid isn't going to the people. And which ministry are you in charge of? You are in charge of VSR. Your minister. They like to say that, right? Your minister. The DP minister. And when we have our meetings, we're like, what's going on with this? I don't know. I don't know would be the reply. I could never say I don't know what was happening on the ground with my ministry or within my schools. And if I didn't know today, I'd make sure I found out today. And I would give the assistance where needed. I believe the responsible ministers have to take responsibility for what. And when something wasn't going right with the cleaning, it wasn't Prime Minister that had to take charge of it. It was Minister Emmanuel. When something went wrong with police, it had to be Minister of Justice. When things were not going right, or there was a discrepancy, or something you needed to know about the harbor or the airport, it was Minister Arundel. About businesses, it was Minister Arundel. You heard that price gouging was going on, Minister Arundel. So why suddenly there's an issue with aid? And I'm saying initially the issue was nothing was coming direct to government.
Some of the parliamentary persons, I think there was at one point that one of them had bring up about the salary, reducing the salary of parliament.
Yes.
You said it in your interview that one of the things you want to go inside change. I don't hear a few of them talking about that change.
Right.
You talking about it in this interview.
Right.
The Christian Party also is talking about taking a 15% cut.
Right.
Right, for any one of their parliament people, and also inquiring the other parliament people. I'm going to ask you this question. Are you going in just for a big salary, or are you really going in to help people?
Listen, I am one of the people that have publicly championed lowering salaries of MPs. In my research, I believe you need to differentiate between the ministers' salaries and the members of parliament salaries. Ministers are not allowed to have any other source of income. That is their main job. They have to relinquish every other thing that they have, whereas members of parliament do not. They can be a member of parliament and have several other jobs, as we have seen in the past with the whole Pelican saga. And so for me, it is not justifiable why you need to have $11,000 salary and then compare that to the other islands within the kingdom that make, what, $7,000, $6,000 as members of parliament. Why is it that we, as one of the smaller countries, have such a high salary? So my approach is simple. It's either one. This is your main source of income, this member of parliament salary. That's your only job and your only source of income, and then we discuss you keeping it. Or you say, we want to keep it as is, where I'm allowed to have other jobs, I'm allowed to be involved in other businesses, but then we reduce it.
The reduction of the salaries of the members of parliament. This is an area that we know has been brought to parliament on previous occasions, and parliamentarians have not supported a motion. The St. Martin Christian Party will again be presenting a motion calling for the reduction of the salaries of MPs by 15%. Now, if this is not passed in Parliament, the MPs of the St. Martin Christian Party have signed a declaration, and this will be in the manifesto, stating that should Parliament not approve the reduction of their salaries by 15%, that the MPs of the St. Martin Christian Party will voluntarily give up 15% of their salary and put it in a foundation.
If we're here standing here today, it's because of one reason, and that reason is our ex-Prime Minister Cruz's self-serving acts to proceed the snap elections to happen. My people of St. Martin, don't leave that white party confuse you with their bogus lies and antics. However, me, myself, and my fellow 22 candidates don't back down from no challenge. Strengthen numbers. Therefore, we will do whatever it takes to provide jobs, better education, better health care, and innovating the country economy.
You have given those people numerous opportunities to be in government, and they have never, ever taken care of anything that benefited you. It has always been about them. So please, please, I'm begging you, think clear. Think clear. All of the policies and everything that is supposed to be in the benefit of you have not been, because you know why? They didn't execute, quite frankly.
How we're going to do this time around, I think we're going to do phenomenal. We are no longer the new kids on the block. We are the party that has established itself as the party to truly represent the people of St. Martin. Last election, we lost that seat by 99 votes. This time around, with the encouragement that we're getting, the response that we're getting from the general public, I believe that we're going to do overwhelmingly, and we're going to do incredible. The St. Martin Christian Party, like I said, is no stranger. Our slogan, "Serving You for Change," is something that we live by. Since the last election, we have maintained our status in terms of keeping in the public's eye. We've been the only new political party that did not fall asleep after elections. We didn't disappear into the political neverwhere, wherever that is. We stepped up to the plate. We continue to engage the public. We continue to educate the public as to what Parliament is about, because for a lot of folks, Parliament is something new. And of course, we continue to challenge the parliamentarians and keep them on their toes to ensure that they were doing what they were supposed to do, and also exposing what they were doing wrong, and letting people know, this is the way it's supposed to be done.
The people of this country is going through some trying times. Times that we have never, ever seen before. Times that this country, not even in 1995, we have felt and seen in this country. Too many people have lost jobs. Too many people have lost their homes. Too many people are suffering in this country. We can't afford to waste our time worrying about pettiness and what is taking place. We believe we have a plan to put people back to work, a plan to put people back in homes, a plan to increase people's livelihood by increasing the minimum wage. We must increase it. We must reduce our taxes. We must give this country a new break in order for people to survive.
I am a first-time running candidate number 22 on the United Democrats slate. Tonight I am privileged to stand in front of all of you tonight and let you know who I am, what I stand for, and the issues that concern me to take care of you. I'm a born St. Martiner, the mother of a housekeeper and an immigrant father that worked the beach until he was able to have his own business. I have 7 siblings. That is what is standing in front of you today. I'm here to tell you, all of you, that I, Asha Uche Roseberg, candidate 22, is here for you.
I always say we have to keep it manageable. We are the small party. We are the David, but we will defeat the Goliath. We are only, and I say only for a good reason, 5 candidates strong, including myself. But each candidate has political maturity, political seniority, and political legitimacy backing them. We might have 5 candidates, but we have a lot more ambassadors, more than the 23 that maybe others will present here today.
We will have a government that you can depend on. You will have a government with people who think with heart and soul for the people, who who make decisions not based on who gonna get fat pockets. Why should it only be for a few? How can we have $1 billion front street and still have shacks? How can we have entrepreneurship at heart, but we don't have any type of tax incentives for young people to start businesses? These are the things that the National Alliance will do. These are the things that has been in our programs over the years, which they have continued to kick to the curb because they can't stand to see us succeed for you.
St. Martin needs stable parliamentarians, a stable parliament, a stable coalition, a stable government in order to run the affairs in a consistent and in a continuous way. We will, as parliamentarians, negotiate a stable parliament. One of the first things that you can expect from us, that the St. Martin Christian Party parliamentarians will not be jumping ship. We are elected for the term, and we know that our parliamentarians will stay there, negotiate, discuss, but there's no need to jump ship when one doesn't get one's way.
Our party have come up with a plan. As you can see, the plan, the brochure that we have, it outlines, let's say, the areas that we want to bring relief to the people. When we look at it and we see the need in order for job creation, in order to bring more business back, we talk about reducing the turnover tax from 5% to 3%, which brings an easement on the people who are buying and purchasing, which brings an easement on the business community. Secondly, we believe we have the highest profit tax within the whole region of 34.5% profit tax. We are saying absolutely, if we want to be competitive, if we want to change, if we want to increase business on this island, let's make sure we bring it down to 15%.
But what we're going to have to do, and what the country going to have to realize, and what we will do, is relitigate this case about what happened to St. Martin after the hurricane. Because one thing for sure, the USP and the NA, one thing they can't run from is their record. And this record will be on display for the next 6 weeks during this campaign. And I am assured, I am very much confident that the people of St. Martin understands their situation and understands that if they want to get out of this situation that they're in, whether it is with their homes, whether it is with their jobs, or with their family finances, or even in this time with the condition that the country is in, having to live with each other or what have you, they can rest assured that once we get back into government, we would take care of all of their needs, to the point where we have to build back this country and build back the economy, and they will be part of that. So I want the people to stay focused, stay steadfast, understand that what it is we are doing right now is necessary because of the democracy that we live in, but we have to deal with it. We have to deal with it. We have to go to the polls. The only way that you can get a government to sit is through the electoral process, and this electoral process has started.
I will say this now. I would dare my colleagues, when we are in Parliament, we have the full majority, to come against these issues. No, we will not, because National Alliance is a social party. It is a party of inclusion. That's why we have all those colors, because we work with everyone, no matter who you are or where you're from. At the same time, though, we must make sure that people of St. Martin are the ones who benefit from the economy that they are making strong. Oh, look, one of the things I've realized, and is unfortunate, I've always said this, when you have business people in Parliament, it's always a challenge. When you have ideas you don't know about the majority, especially in our case, we didn't have the majority in Parliament, is to get legislation passed, because it takes a long process. Look at the short-term contract, 2011 in 2018. I want to say to the people of St. Martin, passing legislation is not as easy as one would think. I've heard many persons talk about making laws, which is important. Yes, we are legislators, but I think the important task is to be also executors of what is taking place in the sense of via the ministers.
Well, first and foremost, we need stability. And one of the things I'm championing is stability through electoral reform. I believe that the top 15 vote getters across the board should be elected to parliament. And what that does is you are no longer getting into parliament on the merit of the votes that the party or your party leader pulled. And so you can make decisions, conscious decisions in the best interest of the country, and not decisions based on what your party or what your party leader wants you to do. So in that sense, to me, we will get a more mature, a more responsible, a more accountable member of parliament.
Change that you and I should be a part of. It is said that one song can change a moment, literally change an atmosphere. It is also said that one idea could change the entire world by bringing solutions. But I dare say to you tonight, my people, that your vote, your one vote, can literally make the difference. Whether it pertains to a political party, in this case the United Democrats, or whether it pertains to one individual, number 10 on the United Democrats list. Your one vote can bring about a change where it pertains to the election outcome.
We know that in December, the people of St. Martin, the most vulnerable in our society, were promised that they would get a roof over their heads, the senior citizens. To date, that has not taken place. It is shameful. So our third, it could be parallel with the other subject that I just mentioned, which is taking care of the jobless. Our priority is to ensure that people have a roof over their head, that the people who are right now in the Carnival Village displaced with babies, months-old babies, that they have a solid roof over their head going into the next hurricane season. We are a very compassionate party. We are a very knowledgeable party. We are a very caring party. We have the network to get things done right. We will be accountable to the people, and we will ensure that St. Martin becomes great again.
And you have to ask yourself, why is a government-owned company holding back the progress of the country, where we are reducing the garbage pile, we are producing alternative forms of energy, reducing the carbon footprint, and you're delaying to sign off on it? Really? Then they said, oh, it's because there's another company offering for less than the amount of cents that the minister put. But for that amount of cents, that other company is not mining the hill. They're talking about starting from scratch, so then the mountain that is smoking will continue to smoke. So the minister's proposal not only deals with the smoking mountain, which was dormant for the longest while, but what's going on under the mountain, which was not created by the National Alliance government, let us get that straight, but guaranteed. Every time this government was in, they prepared documents to get that waste moved. And every time we are on the brink of it, government falls.
Another aspect of stable government is to ensure that the procedure that is already in place for the formation of a government, that is followed. We have seen in the past that a couple of hours after the election results are made known, that parties already have been able to sign on some note paper that they're going to work together without first reviewing their manifestos, their ideology, the governing points that they want to ensure that their government will be executing. And then halfway during the period, or less than halfway, we find that coalitions realize that they cannot work together. But this is something that parties should deal with prior to signing a coalition agreement.
I'd just like to ask the people to come out and vote. This is going to be a dynamic campaign. We've put together a very dynamic team in the best interest of St. Martin. There are no egos on this political party. We've dealt with that ego thing. We've put that aside. The persons that are most important in doing this election is the people of St. Martin. Every election you always hear that. But now more than ever, because now more than ever, the people of St. Martin need help. We have been devastated by this hurricane. You have candidates on this political party with a proven track record. And let the track record speak for itself. And once this government is elected, this party is elected, you will see the St. Martin back on the right course of prosperity and good for all.
We can solve our housing problem. I can guarantee you 2,000 to 2,500 homes in 4 years. Affordable homes. I know the landowners. We spoke to the landowners. We can solve our housing problem. We can solve our sewage problem. I started with the creation of the St. Martin Waste Authority. We can solve the landfill. I am so passionate. I know I can do it. And if it's nothing else I get done, there's
another issue that we know that is really plaguing our nation, and that is trust. Trust. Our people are hurting, and they do not trust the political system. So it is incumbent upon us, our party, to convey that we will not abandon you in terms of crisis, not before, certainly not during, and not after. Building back the trust between the body politic and our citizens is just as important as building those roofs. So we are ready for February the 26th. We are calling upon the people of St. Martin. Don't be despaired. We understand your hurt. We understand that you are disenchanted with this entire, like I say in Dutch, poppenkast that is taking place. Another election, another government. PPA, once elected, will stay in government for 4 years. We will stay in government for 4 years. We will not dissolve Parliament before its 4-year term. That's a message to the investors out there. The investors are also a group of persons who bring stability and security to our small nation. But if they don't have trust in the body politics, if they don't have trust in the governments that have been formed over and over again, then they will stay out or stay away. And that is not good for St. Martin. I understand that as a leader of a party. Our candidates understand that. As business people and persons who have been involved in all walks of life, in all fields, we know what it takes to bring this country back again.